Hello, good evening, welcome. It's the third day of Christmas, so Merry Christmas to you. And thanks for joining us on the midweek edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Citizen Jones Hussein. Today on the program, fuel supply improves in Lagos but persists in Abuja, the federal capital. Federal government justifies $1 billion for war against Boko Haram. Please follow me. Government says critics are unpatriotic, and later on, we'll share this with you. Atiku dismisses alleged feud with the chairman of the PDP, Uche Secondus. Let's say I'll be hanging out with a returning Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Babajide, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to have you.
Let's conclude. You have recovered from your holiday, so you are ready to go.
I'm in the right frame.
Okay, so we do also have Benga Onitilo. Benga, good evening.
Good to be here again.
And Merry Christmas. Not forgetting.
Still waiting for the hamper from you.
We'll talk about this after the show. We are on air now. Journalists don't give hampers out. We receive.
No, this one is not.
We receive hampers.
And let's welcome Adekunle Yusuf. Merry Christmas to you.
Same to you. I'm very
All right,
happy to be
then.
here.
We are ready if you are. Now let's go. Lagos, the commercial nerve center of the country, appears to be heaving a sigh of relief, even if cautiously. Fuel supply appears to have shown signs of improvement, while the seat of government continues to reel under the burden of scarcity of the product. Whereas marketers attribute the crisis to NNPC's $6 billion crude for product swap deal, the everyday Nigerian fights to rationalize the scarcity in the first place. Jide, how do we rationalize this? You keep talking about this almost week in, week out.
It's a national shame, no doubt about it, that one of the world's biggest producers of crude oil is a perennial importer of refined petrol and suffers almost every year from fuel scarcity. Last year, around March, we had the same problem. It got so bad that Asiwaju had to talk to Kachiku. Say, solve this problem. Stop telling Nigerians that you are not a miracle worker. You know, Kachiku is similar to the president in some ways because he is not a politician. But in the kind of job that you do, you must give hope to Nigerians. You can't tell Nigerians, look, I'm trying my best, I'm not a magician. Oh, if you say that, people will become dispirited. So Asiwaju had to tell them that, look, show respect to Nigerians. Don't say that you are not a magician. Nigerians will appreciate that you are trying your best to solve the problem. So we had this problem last year. This year, in December last year, we didn't have the problem. We had it in the first quarter. But we should have learned from our lessons. Nigerians consume 700 trucks of petrol in a day, which is like 30 million liters. Now, when it comes to December, you should know that demand will go up. More people will travel, more people on holidays, they will sit in their homes, they will like to watch TV, they will buy fuel and all that. So you should have expected that the demand will spike in December. So which means that if we were consuming 700 trucks in a day, you should be able to maybe move it to like 1,000 trucks or more.
Make allowance for contingency.
Yes. So that was what we didn't do. NNPC didn't do that. We've had all kinds of deniers, but we saw the DPR man. We put the DPR man on, it was on tape. We played it to Nigerians, and he said that importation have been going steadily down, that they observed that. So if importation should go steadily down, it shouldn't be in the month when we need petrol the most. that will suffer from a decline in importation.
Kule, at this point, I'm trying to break down this thing that $6 billion crude for product swap deal was responsible for the shortage. Do you understand the logic, this means?
I think a lot of factors should be blamed for this. That may be part of it. Because when you look at what NNPC was trying to give out, they didn't let us know the entire truth. And it's so clear that they were just trying to spin this situation that, oh, we are doing this, we are doing that. Whereas the real thing for Nigerians is to see what they want to buy for it. But we have to go through all the hardship. Unfortunately, as we normally do, we will not get to the bottom of all this. As long as we have fuel now, everything is over until we are back into the next cycle. You know, in a normal society, you will see people wanting to know what really led to this. Because one of the promises of this government was that the moment the price was jacked to 145 naira was that there will not be anything like this again. And many people believe this administration. Unfortunately, the same marketers, some of them are the ones asking for higher prices now.
Yeah, yeah. Benga, mine is, why would it be expedient for the NNPC to monopolize supply?
Okay.
I don't know if you're
I'll just reference on that $6 billion crude oil swap deal.
Yeah.
Where NNPC have a 330,000 barrels per day that is allocated to them, which is being used for this oil swap deal, which is being given to major oil marketers and few ones in Nigeria like the Fort Oil. Quite a whole lot of them are being in Nesta, a lot of them are being given this stuff. But in the month of November, December, there was a major challenge, which confirmed, just to corroborate what GDS said, the DPR man said. Most of those guys are supposed to take in crude out and bring in refined products. Some of them get as much as 33,000 barrels per day. It's been allocated based on what you had capacity for. At that point in time, because of issues within the market, the spike of crude oil, several challenges on the market, so they were not able to bring in enough petrol. So most of them decided to bring in diesel. Yeah, what they were allocated for to bring in petrol, they did not bring petrol into the market. So they brought in diesel. So diesel was awash in the markets. There was not enough supply of petrol in the market, and that was where the challenge started from.
So nobody was monitoring?
Will you say nobody, in terms of analytics and monitoring data, I think people were complicit in doing that. Because if you are supposed to bring certain metric ton of petrol into the country and people brought in diesel, you should know there's going to be a major challenge. Yeah. And also, NNPC brings in, from what the marketers said, they were initially bringing about 80%. At that period, I think it went to about 100% due to all the several factors, which borders around FX, borders around the spike of crude oil, and a whole lot of other factors. So, but the challenge is, you don't control all the other key indices. Like, for example, the retail end, the depots. You don't control the supply chain, which are the critical parts. Yeah. You are not in control of that, but you are the one controlling, bringing in everything. And at the end of the day, you still fix the price for a commodity which you are not responsible for the supply and distribution chain. And you also don't have control over the price of crude oil in the international market, which affects refining, the price of refining. You also don't control the FX, the price of the FX as it fluctuates. So there are a lot of indices you don't control. So when you don't control all those indices and you are pegging prices, then we're going to have a bit of a challenge there as well.
That the price of a crude oil barrel is going up to 65.
It's 67 today.
Okay. Should that be a problem for us?
It will be a problem. In fact,
please break it down.
I was discussing with a big marketer on Monday, and I said, if oil prices in the international market, crude oil prices should go to $100 per barrel, what will happen? He said, Jide, let's not think about it. He said, let's not think about it. Because even at 67 today, based on the what happened in Libya.
Okay.
The pipeline problem in Libya is 67 today. We are already subsidizing at about 1.4 billion daily. If it goes on like this, because already 1.4 billion naira subsidy daily that we are on petrol, because one demand has spiked. We are bringing in more products. So on every liter, there is subsidy. So the calculation now is that Nigeria, based on the current price of crude oil in the international market, you know, it will affect the refined product, no doubt about it. The higher it goes, we will be happy that we are earning more money.
Yeah.
The states...
To the man on the street, we are making more money.
We are making more money. But out of what we are making, you have to set aside a quantum, I mean, a huge sum of money to take care of subsidy. The vice president said yesterday, 2 days ago, that it is actually NMPC that, you know, he had to find a way to, you know, he's a fantastic talker. He had to find a way to say it. Now, but the truth is, yes, in a way, he's right. Because NMPC warehouses what we earn from crude oil. So what NMPC just needs to do is, look, every month they will take from what they've sold. Instead of remitting everything, they take everything to FAC to say, okay, this is from NMPC, this is what is coming to FAC. They will first take out subsidy, what they have to pay for subsidy. So we ran away from subsidy the first time, but the price of crude oil in the international market has brought us back to the subsidy regime. And the higher it goes, the more the worse things will get for us. And my own prayer is, okay, we needed to stop subsidy so that some fat cat marketers won't be fleecing the country. But I'm sure now that those civil servants, because we have a generation of civil servants who a single individual will steal 86 vehicles. Are we sure that some of the money set aside for subsidy under the current dispensation won't be shared by someone?
Quite a lot to discuss. Quite a lot to discuss this evening. Let's take our first major break. We'll be back. In it, Kunle, are you surprised at this?
No, I'm not surprised at all.
Okay.
My expectation.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, if Lagos is experiencing the easing.
No, you can't compare Lagos and Abuja. You know, Lagos is around
closer to
the ports, tank farms, all those things. You see, what will happen is when things like this happen, in 2 weeks, you are still battling to solve the problems, even when you have ordered or importation, massive.
Okay.
But to spread around the country, you should expect 2-3 weeks before their ship can, you know.
But this could have been solved. Benga, it could have been solved, because I'm saying January, February, March, April, May, June, July. We know something might be wrong somewhere. Forces you to ask: is this are some of these things deliberate?
I would say it's because of a country that does not plan around data. You know, when you don't play with data and simulate things, you will always have challenges. If you listen to information from the IPMAN and DAPA and all of them, if you listen to what all of them have said, they said right in most of their depots, there are no petrol. But the NNPC is claiming, they won't discountenance what NNPC is saying, that they have the ships or the vessels have petrol. But they say in their own depots, that if they have it, they will ensure they work 24/7 round the clock and distribute. So there are still a lot of missing gaps here. And part of the major challenge is still the supply and distribution chain.
Yeah.
So the thing is, the numbers, are they even sure about the numbers that Nigeria needs daily? Because at one time...
if the GMD tells you that 13 vessels are discharging about 650
But the
million
guys
liters.
that own the depots are saying they don't have petrol in them. So who is telling the truth or not. They said they might have it in the bigger ships or vessels.
Okay.
But they are not yet in our own tank farms, on our own depot. But if they are available, we definitely will distribute. And you know why Lagos is feeling a respite? Because Lagos definitely is closer to the ports. And before you start distributing to all the other outstation is really going to be it. So as long as the NNPC is the one fully controlling importation, and they don't control the ownership of depot, the supply chain, the retail end, service stations. What's the percentage of service stations they have? It's less than 10%. So if they are saying our own stations have it, how many
stations do they have?
Would they have? So there's still a lot of disconnect here. And until we fix all those elements, until we fix them right, we might just be finding our way back into this scenario again with the crude oil price going up again. And like Judy rightly said, we are making so much money, but we're still taking money out of what we are earning to still subsidize, and without subsidy as well.
Okay, we hear Benga is on the line from Abuja.
Yes, this is Benga from Abuja.
Yeah, please report what you can see now.
Yes, well, around Abuja, the queue has gone down. There are still some places where you have about 20 cars, 30 cars on the queue, but not as before where you have to stay like 3 or 4 hours. So things are getting normal. The next 2 or 3 days, we might not experience what we're experiencing now.
Okay.
Then to answer a germane question that you asked, that if the crude should go to like $100, what should happen? That's the prayer of every Nigerian, even the presidency, because they need money. But I do not agree with Olajide, that there will be problem. There will not be any problem. Because we have enough dollar, and for example, right, what the government would do is to make us to appreciate. The forest will now come to like 200 or 250. By that, the calculation will bring the price of our landing cost down. Because what affecting us is that our foreign, for the forex is about 300 plus. That is why we are feeling the hardship of the increase in dollar market. So because they will get enough dollar, like $60 extra to the budget they have, they will use that one to cushion the forex by bringing the exchange rate to about 200 naira. By that, it will fall apart, almost like 130, 140, what we're having now. Thank you.
Many thanks. Jide, in Abuja, the Depot and Petroleum Products Marketers Association, DAPMA, says they are not part of the, they are not to blame. So this is not the time for a blame game.
Yes. We must just all jump in and solve the problem. I don't think we should continue blaming one another because in any case, the NNPC started the blame game by trying to make it look like, oh, it's the marketers. But DPR was going around. Reporters went with DPR. They went to depot and found empty depot. And at the end of the day, the head of downstream and the DPR had to confess that there is shortage of supply. And even Kachiku himself came to Lagos and said, we are having issues with supply. But Mekanti Baru stuck to the lie and continue to say, no, it is hoarding, it is this. When we now, when we have a problem, we must find a way to solve that problem and not try to even blame stakeholders. Because you still need these guys. I believe that in the final analysis, NNPC shouldn't be the only entity bringing product into this country. Because, look, if you can give some categories of Nigerians dollars at a concessionary rate, you should be able, if you want to solve this problem, since we can't go off importing, you should be able to get marketers involved, decent marketers, whom we are sure that when you make money, make FX available to them, they will bring product, not those who divert to Benin Republic and use the documentation from Abuja to steal, you know. So that is the thing. Let other people get involved in the importation because NNPC alone does not have the capacity.
Okay, we have a call coming now. So let's take this call. Donald is calling us from up country, Owerri, to be exact. Donald, welcome.
Good evening.
Yeah, how do you do?
I'm fine, and you?
Please report Owerri to us.
I'm sorry for my question. Really, here in Owerri, it's very, very bad situation. The queue is very lengthy. Though, in a few days now, the queue is reducing gradually. But the fact remains that the price is not coming down. Many stations are still selling 250. The least you can get is 220. And I think the solution lies with the government. This particular government is not honest with Nigerians. They started implementing right from one state. The minister will say different things. The managing director of NNPC will say the same thing. The government is not honest with Nigerians.
Okay. Many thanks. So here we are going round in circles. Before we came back on, we talked about fixing the refineries, which is key here. You're asking yourself, why are the refineries perpetually down? No, sorry.
I think that's a question that is begging for an answer. All Nigerians know why.
I don't. That's why I'm asking.
Okay.
If I knew, I would have said it right away.
Okay. We are in a country that is swimming in corruption. Put any amount to do turnaround maintenance on our refineries. Some Nigerians who work there will sabotage that effort. Before you know it, that will be money down the drain. Now, our refineries, none is up to 100 years old, if I'm correct. If we maintain them, if we maintain
1974,
1963 or so.
none of them is up to 100 years old.
No.
But you see around the world, refineries, 150 years, 20, and they are still working fine.
Maintenance.
Because they maintain them. Look at every government in Nigeria will come and battle with fuel, crisis and leave the problem. Another one will succeed it and leave the fuel problem. Why have we not been able to build more refineries?
Yeah.
When this government came, all of a sudden, started hearing of, body language. That now things are fine and all that. But at the end of the day, what happened? We reverted to the normal ways of doing this.
GD, just before we wind up on this, can we talk about the bill sent by the NNPC to the National Assembly regarding turnaround?
Yes, they want to spend $1.8 billion on those refineries. Those refineries are not giving us up to 20% of their installed capacity. One of them is even almost permanently down now. So the concern of the Senate is, why should we spend this much? And I think that the late President Yar'Adua should have allowed the private sector to take over those refineries at the time, because Obasanjo at the last minute went into that transaction, but he felt that the transaction was not transparent alone. At that time, Dangote would have inherited one of those refineries, would have had no reason to build this one, So, but he stopped the process, and now we continue to waste money on those refineries. It just reminds me of what Bola Ige did when he was made power minister at that time. He felt that continuing to spend money on NEPA was the solution. By the time we realized, towards the end of Obasanjo's regime, that we needed to build new power plants, Obasanjo had less than a year to leave office. That was when he started building Papalanto, Geregu, Omotosho, and those power plants. Because we didn't do the right thing at the right time. It looks like we have wasted an opportunity. Saudi Arabia still built a new refinery 2 years ago. Saudi Arabia has the capacity now to refine petrol up to 800,000 barrels a day.
All right, then. The popular saying is this, that you pour oil on troubled waters. What do you pour on troubled oil? Please think about that as we go on this break and return. All right, then, welcome back. Nigerian authorities have described as unnecessary, uninformed, and highly partisan the criticism tailing the recently approved $1 billion by the Nigerian Governors Forum for the military to tackle the country's security challenges. Information and Culture Minister Alhaji Lai Mohammed observed that the governors acted wisely in approving the withdrawal of the money from the excess crude account, but reflected painfully, though, that many of the critics have hinged their argument on the fact that Boko Haram has been degraded. Let's have a debate here. Again, like sour grapes, we are here talking about, if the Nigerian Governors Forum had given the nod, the okay, to this money being taken from the excess crude account, why the furore?
For me, I think that maybe because I'm a lot familiar with the state of the war, because I go to the Northeast regularly. I think that we need to spend so much money to defeat these guys. There are certain things happening now that were not happening some months back, which suggests to me that Boko Haram is waxing stronger. People can't move around as freely as they would want to move. It's just that these things, Nigerians do not know these things. But today, if you go to maybe Muna Garage in Maiduguri and say you want to take a bus or a taxi to Goza, people will look at you like you are crazy. Because you can't go to those places without heavy military presence. Yes, they must escort you. And what they do is they escort tons of cars every morning. And then in the evening when they are coming back after the trading. Wow. It's not like you can on your own just move from this town to that town. No. Those places are still not that safe. And sometimes too, they attack the military convoys. Look at what Boko Haram tried to do in Molai during the week. There was a military convoy going, and they started, one of their own trucks joined the convoy.
Are you kidding?
They wanted to use the opportunity to enter Maiduguri. You know, so when the army now suspected that, oh, so these guys are not part of us, they opened fire on them because they are the masters of these guys and all that. They opened fire on them, and then gunshots rang out through the night. People could not sleep. So this war has not ended. And I am particularly impressed that Alhaji Lai Mohammed, who once said that Boko Haram has been technically defeated, yes, on Tuesday, Alhaji Lai Mohammed said in Lagos that Boko Haram has been largely degraded. So he's no longer talking about technical defeat, because there's nothing like technical defeat. I've said it repeatedly. In all my years of monitoring the military, it was the first time I was hearing that. So Boko Haram has not been defeated. So whatever we can do, whatever resources we can muster, whatever support we can get from our allies, from our friends, you know, in the sub-region or even beyond, we must try to get so that we can defeat these people once and for all.
Adekunle, and we all know, wars on terror are never fought with budgetary provisions. You must have extra budgetary thing, if you understand what I'm saying. Yes. But then the logic, the counter logic is the National Assembly should have appropriated this money. Right, wrong?
I think you are right. I am someone who believes that without security, there's nothing.
It is everything. Security is everything.
Means everything. Without it, there's nothing. But the way manner this government is telling us about that, is it 1.5 billion?
$1 billion.
It doesn't add up. The money that accrues to the federal government, I mean to the nation as a whole, the federal government alone, controls 52% of that money. What does it do with it? If it is not enough, how much arguments have you made beyond the confines of governors? Have you made everybody to see what is happening? whether Boko Haram is technically defeated or technically, what's the new term now?
Largely degraded.
It now has been stepped down to largely degraded. Well, whatever the technicality they are trying to use now, it doesn't add up. Because these governors that you said gave you approval don't have the power to give you approval. The money belongs to the federal government, states, and local governments. How many of the state houses of assembly endorse this? Then, on behalf of the local governments.
Kule, but this is an exigency.
It is an exigency. We have always been in an exigency. If it's Boko Haram, it's not a new thing. It's not a new thing. The way they were trying to, buttress this doesn't add up. And they should know. I am a fan of, President Muhammadu Buhari, but when things are not right, I will be the first person to talk about it.
Benga, you're getting more amused than I thought.
Well, I'm getting more amused is because the people that they're claiming give endorsements to the $1 billion are same people that have not been able to pay salaries and pensions, same people that have not been able to fully utilize effectively.
But they didn't tell you it was not a contributing.
No. I'm driving at something.
Okay.
You are presiding over the affairs of a nation under a democracy where you have an arm of government that should scrutinize, that you should transmit a bill to, there should be a debate over the matter to validate it before it's being transmitted, where the president now signs it up as a bill. Have any bill been transmitted? The issue is about the issue of optics in terms of transparency and accountability. That's why people are a bit skeptical about, we're going into 2018 election, these people, Paris Fund, all the security vote they had. Because now we've been told it's not just for Boko Haram, it's for all the all the states of the federation.
Security needs
Headsmen, even they even talk about cattle rustling.
Vice President.
Yes.
Cattle rustling even came up, and I'm wondering, cattle rustling came up, and quite a whole lot of things, logistics, training, a whole lot of things came up. So the issue is, if we are under a democracy, what we are asking for, these funds should be rightly appropriated, and there should be proper accountability before you dispose of these funds. And that's why everybody, is the optics behind it really, that is not going through the right process under a democracy, that people that we know have not been accountable to pay pensions, to pay salaries, to fully utilize Paris funds, and now they want sitting over such funds to now say, okay, we have approved it. That's the challenge that we have here.
Jide, the Minister of Information added that critics of this move are largely unpatriotic.
I must be unpatriotic.
I'm quoting the minister.
Yeah, he made that statement in a fit of anger, out of frustration, because critics can sometimes get under your skin.
That's what they are. They are critics.
Yes. No, they can
They're supposed to get under your skin.
They can really get under your skin. And you tell yourself that what is happening.
Because
these people should understand that.
At the time, the minister was on the other side.
On the other side, and he routinely got under people's skin. So he routinely got under people's skin. So it's the same. The shoe is on the other foot now. Yeah. Now, for me, as I said, I look at a lot of our soldiers. They still complain about not being paid when they should be paid. I still think that even when soldiers retire, they don't get their due benefits, what we should actually give them for all those years of service, for putting their lives on the line.
Sorry, Jide, and this has been a long time coming.
Yes.
You remember the former Chief of Army Staff who confessed on TV? He said, we were fighting the insurgents with bare knuckles.
Yes.
Whereas money was given out and
appropriated and often not getting to the real end user. So for me, that's why I am emotional about this, because I go to the battlefield from time to time. If I do like 2 months in Lagos, I feel like going to that place to even see what's happening. I know that our soldiers need support. I know that what we have are not weapons. We are fighting Boko Haram with AK-47. The world has moved beyond that. The world has moved. We need
when next you are going to the war zone, take Benga, so he comes back and smiling less.
No, we'll take him. We'll take him to the shores of the Lake Chad, where the Mama Noor faction of Boko Haram controls. That's a dangerous area.
Is he not going to see Sambisa?
So you will see.
No, he needs to see Sambisa.
You know, it's possible to even go. You know, Sambisa is big. It's possible to go to Sambisa and nothing will happen. But we will take him to the shores of Sambisa. When you are talking about Boko Haram holding Nigerian territories, those are the areas where they are doing well. Because those areas are not so accessible. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Are you
we can take him there so that he gets to see clearly the needs of these soldiers.
But with the money gets to work,
Are you
it's supposed to be
insinuating that
utilized
some
for.
territories are
Let me
still
tell
under
you,
Boko
the
Haram?
US Army, one aircraft can cost up to 800
No,
million.
Jide, I rightly understand.
You know,
When you're fighting
800
war,
million.
I understand that.
$800 million,
I
one
understand
aircraft.
that perfectly.
Because that's why, when you see, I look at AK-47, people are using M16 and other guns. The guns that we are using are antiquated.
But can we trust our public servants?
We should be able to
deliver?
buy weapons for
The
these
minister
soldiers that
said
500 meters.
That 12 Toscano aircraft will cost about $490 million.
I don't even, see,
I don't
I
think-
said it on this program that the Air Force spends about 400 million on fueling alone.
Yeah, and talking about
I
sorties,
don't
sorties.
think here.
Do you know how much they said those
Nigerians
bombs that we drop?
Nigerians don't have problem with the $1 billion.
Yeah.
But what we are saying
but
is, when you look at history, 2015, 2016, funds have been appropriated to fight this war.
But it was under a different government.
Even in 2016. 2016 was the same
let's
government.
puncture that by reminding you, government is a continuum.
It's a continuum.
But governments are usually more decent than one another.
But the question is,
more corrupt than one another.
have you been able to show us how well you have appropriated and utilized the funds that you have used over that period of time?
But you
for us to have
you
confidence in
admitted
you.
this is an emergency.
An emergency which still demands you show enough transparency, enough accountability, and go through the right democratic process to have this approved.
During the World War, British women, during the Second World War, British women were selling their jewelry to fund the war process. They were selling their jewelry. See, in times of war, you do not, war is much more expensive than peace. People must realize that.
Especially this type of war.
Yes.
Which is not a conventional
People think that
war.
we have won this war, but these guys are still kidnapping people. Those university lecturers from Unibe, they are still there. Those 10 women from Lhasa, they are still with Boko Haram. The war has not ended. For me, I want to see efforts in the direction of ending the war, whichever way we want to do it. That is just what I want.
Let's quickly take Abdullahi. He's calling from the theater. If you permit that, Maiduguri, welcome.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yeah, Abdullahi, how are you? Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Uncle DJ, Merry Christmas.
Same to you. Thanks.
Yeah. I really want to comment on this issue of Boko Haram. Hello?
Are you there?
Go on.
Are you done? The contact there to him. But again, we say war, the tragedy of war is that it uses man's best to do man's worst, especially this type of war. We'll take another break and return. All right, quickly, let's lay this discussion to a rest. $1 billion for Boko Haram war and related struggles. In closing, you say the money is okay, but the method of taking it is what you are quarreling with.
Totally wrong. Totally wrong.
So what should have happened? What should have happened?
What should have happened is that, as a way of displaying accountability, they should let, if all Nigerians are not allowed to know, they should let the National Assembly know what they have done with the past, budget on defense, and then place a request to do this.
Okay. All right. So the debate will continue. so please, let's keep it going. This is the essence of democracy. Please stay there. We'll be back shortly. Okay, then, it is not out of place to quote the English novelist and political scientist George Orwell, writer of Animal Farm, at this point. He said, "In our age, there's no such thing as keeping out of politics. All issues are political issues, and politics itself is a mass of lies, evasions, folly, hatred, and schizophrenia." Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has distanced himself from a statement purportedly made by him against the new leadership of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP. He says it is fake and contrived. Jide, you are not surprised?
I'm not surprised because PDP seems to always be at the at the wrong end of this kind of propaganda. I remember on social media, a sentence was framed, purportedly attributed to Body George.
Okay.
That when Wike went to visit him, he said, you cannot derobe me in public, this and that, and don't and come here to my house to beg me. It never happened. It never happened. And as we move closer and closer to 2019, we should expect this kind of things. The project to demarket Atiku is alive and well, and Atiku should be ready because it's going to be demarketed in such a way because the president's supporters see Atiku now as the first person to come out. Others, they want to contest, but at least they've not thrown their hearts in the ring.
They're playing a waiting game.
Yes, they can see that Atiku is interested. And all those statements that he's making, trying to appear like a good statesman, trying to appear like a lover of youths and all that, people are seeing all those moves as consistent with that of someone who wants to be president. So the president's supporters won't sit back. Whatever they can do to demarket him, to make him look like a sweet rap on the floor, they will do it. So it should brace up for a lot of this. Many times I tell my people that when I read stuff in the newspapers, I wait and wait for some time before I believe, because we were told that somebody kept, I think the former Air Force man kept money in a Sokowe pit. That EFCC guys discovered money in the Sokowe pit. We never saw it. When Magu came to Lagos, we asked him. He said there was no such thing. It didn't happen. Nigerians are very good at inventing, coming up with fictional stories. So this is just one of them, and a lot more will happen.
Kunle, it was also rumored that Atiku was working for Buhari and the APC, if you see what I'm talking about. Is it part of the strategy?
If you see what Jide has just analyzed, fake news has been part of us now. And it's like, I don't know the best solution.
Here to stay?
Yes. During this palaver, you will see one, news all over the place from Fayemi. Purportedly from Fayemi.
Oh, yeah. But even if we increase fuel prices.
The thing was all over the place, so much that I think the minister himself saw it and had to come out that, no, I didn't say if it is 250 Nigerians already. He had to shout.
They're going to destroy
that. At the stage, I felt sorry for the man.
Anyway, I didn't say it.
If you see the way they were repackaging,
and these people, they will couch it in excellent English.
Yes, I was wondering, where did Fayemi make this statement?
They said it was a live radio program in Abuja.
Bad
the
people.
It was so massive that he apparently got it the way it came out.
No, people will have been calling him now to say,
did you? So,
when did you say this? You destroy yourself.
This government also benefited immensely from fake news.
Yeah.
So they are not the ones that should complain. What we should do now is that Nigerians should just, be on the guard, because we have a propensity for believing negative stories in Nigeria. Right. Whether it is true, whether it is not true, it's immaterial.
Benga, Elijah Atiku is not new. He's not a small boy in this game, as they say. So he soaks everything in. What should he do?
I think before he left the APC to say he wants to join PDP, and has an agenda to contest for presidency. I'm sure these are part of the things he should have anticipated that will come his way. He has always been demarketed all his life, and going against the Buhari that people have turned to a demigod, you are going to have more of it come your way. It's just the beginning. As you move closer to the primaries,
it will get worse.
This is just the tip of the iceberg. So, but I'm sure...
He's also reported to have asked Saraki, Amechi, Goje to return to the PDP.
Yeah, that's what it's been. That's what, like we said right now. Negative news. Sure? No, negative news will sell so fast against him because people have a perception about him, whether real, unreal, it's going to or imaginated. But I'm sure he and his team are well on ground to understand this is the part you have to ride through if you want to really get what you need to get. So much more is going to come because even PDP itself is in a lot of disarray at the moment. Yeah. So the party you have, especially the Ogun State palaver, where somebody has gone to court. Yeah, the people of what do you call it? Ogun West. Or no. The people of this political stalwart. What's the name of this?
Kashamu. Yeah, because Kashamu can see that his days are numbered in the PDP. The tendencies that have taken over the PDP,
but you are not a party man.
The tendencies that have taken over in the PDP are tendencies opposed to him. Yeah. The Fayoshes have taken over PDP. The Fayoshes, the weakest. And throughout Sheriff's period, he was fighting them. He even tried to stop the convention at the last minute. So they will not see him as a friend. They will see him as an enemy that has to be chased out of their party. It's just like what is happening in Kano. Yeah. You know?
Gentlemen, thank you for coming, except that in politics, stupidity, I repeat, is not a handicap. It's a virtue. Let's thank Jide Kolade Utitoju. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Please recover in time from your holiday, and let's get to work some more. No, we'll go to the Ikosi bar.
We'll call him to bar.
Benga and Adekunle, many thanks. That's it. It's our country. We keep talking about the country until we get tired. We must keep talking about Nigeria. It's our country. We are here. I wish you well. Happy holiday again. Now, for another interesting edition tomorrow. And of course, watch a repeat broadcast of this particular edition at 11 tonight. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on other platforms showing on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. And feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Citizen Jones Hussein. Bye-bye for now. God bless you.